Ever since I graduated college a few years ago, I've been really focused on growing as an artist, improving my skills, and becoming a better painter. And I do think that I've come a long way, but the path so far hasn't exactly been smooth. I think that's because I haven't been placing enough importance on the most important thing when it comes to growing as a creative: my curiosity. Welcome to another episode of Artist Diaries, and thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring this video. When I started to gain more traction online, I started to feel a pretty intense pressure to get better faster, to somehow have my skills quote-unquote match the sudden reach that I was getting. I think this was a really toxic mindset to have that kind of ruined my creativity for a long while, because as much as we like to think that life is a meritocracy, it totally isn't, and I did and still do feel kind of guilty about the reach that I have as someone that continues to consider themselves an intermediate artist. There are a lot of artists who are far more advanced than I am, far more skilled than I am, and have significantly less reach, but I guess that just means I need to be responsible and positive and encouraging with the platform that I do have. So anyway, shortly after I went full-time, I made this whole plan, a big Notion database with learning goals and resources and online courses, and essentially a 4-year curriculum that would get me to where I thought I needed to be. This curriculum fell apart almost instantly, not because it was a bad curriculum or because the basic premise of it was flawed. I still stand by that video. It fell apart because of me, because I wasn't doing it for me. I was putting pressure on myself to appease strangers on the internet, not out of an intrinsic desire to be better, and I was rushing it. I was going at a pace that just wasn't sustainable. And no offense to you guys or anything, you're great, but I don't make art for you. I shouldn't make the majority of my art for you. I should make art for me because I want to. And I should be interested in developing my skills because it's a thing that I am interested in. This won't work out long term if it's set up any other way. If you're growing online and you have an audience as an artist, you should take note of this. Try and make art that's just for you, at least some of the time. If you feel like you're just going through the motions whenever you make art, you need to put your brush or your pencil or your whatever down and take a step back. Somewhere along the way, you've lost something essential to the soul of your artwork. And you need to find it and get it back as soon as possible. The future of your creative practice kind of depends on it. My curriculum, as comprehensive as it was missing my curiosity. In the time since that project crashed and burned, I realized something very essential about my process. I go down rabbit holes, and I go down them hard. It is basically my entire learning process. To explain, let's talk a little bit about what I've been working on. So a few weeks ago, I went on this hiking trip with some friends. We all piled into a rental car and rode Highway 1 up the coast to Northern California and hiked around Redwood National Park. Honestly, as far as weekend trips go, it was pretty mid. I got pretty car sick sitting in the back seat on those windy mountain roads, and it was a lot of driving for not that much hiking. Though all of what we saw was really pretty and gorgeous, and I don't regret a minute of it. I do, however, wish that we had spent more time experiencing it not through car windows. But I'd never been up that way before, and I'm really glad that I went. I got some great photos out of it, specifically this one right here, this particular tree. It may not look all that special, but this tree sparked a bit of an obsession. A manic creative fugue state, if you will, where all I've been interested in are trees. I have drawn this particular tree a half dozen times, if not more. I have tentative plans to turn into a 3-part painting series. I spent $600 on custom arch panels, and it's not even that particular tree anymore. I'm falling in love with all of the trees I see around me now. There's this one tree I saw on a walk with a friend, and it's probably going to become a painting too, and I feel a little bit guilty, honestly, about it. Like maybe I'm cheating on that first tree, but My boyfriend says it's fine, so I'm gonna believe him. Anyway, this debatably unhealthy obsession with one particular tree in Northern California has pushed me to take up drawing again, to learn more about trees, to think about rendering and foliage and value masses in a way that I don't normally do, and I haven't been interested in doing until now, and I've been growing as an artist. I think I am genuinely better at drawing trees now than I used to be, and as a landscape painter, I will wholeheartedly take this win. But to zoom out for a second, do you hear how my voice changed a little bit when I started to talk about trees? I know this is really random, but passion is important. You need to be passionate about the work that you're making. You might think that your passions, your niche interests are kind of cringe or silly, but they're important to you. You should focus on them. You need to be passionate about the work that you're making. You need to be interested, or else it will never happen. You're not going to be consistent. It's fine to do stuff that you aren't maximally excited about every so often to learn. There is some amount of grunt work and warm-ups necessary to develop as an artist, but it shouldn't be your entire experience as a creative, or in my opinion, more than 30% of it. I don't think that I could ever be consistent with my creative practice by any reasonable definition if it felt like a chore. Yes, the fundamentals are of course important, as is cultivating self-discipline. But why not develop your fundamentals and follow the dopamine at the same time? If you're not happy with where you're at right now, try to come up with some projects where you can work on leveling up a weak point of your art while doing something fun and exciting. I realize for some of you this might seem unbearably obvious and not at all worth repeating, but I think it's important. It's so easy to be incredibly overwhelmed when you're thinking about all of the things that you need to learn as an artist and what separates you from where you are now to where you want to be. Like, learning human anatomy feels like its own endless rabbit hole, and then you realize that every creature on the planet has its own unique anatomy, and you're like, fuck. So you turn to color theory, and you realize that that's a big rabbit hole. And so you turn to perspective or rendering or value, and it can just go on like that forever. Everything is a rabbit hole, especially when it comes to the fundamentals. There is just so much to learn. As artists, our job is to interpret and render the natural world and our experiences, and the natural world is complicated, my guy. Like, there's a lot there. But it doesn't need to feel that way. You can reduce that overwhelm by going for a project-based learning model where you're studying a few select topics in depth and then immediately applying them in an original piece. Reduce overwhelm even more by just doing drawing first, ignoring color altogether, and then gradually adding it back in when you're ready. Curiosity leads to passion, which is an excellent driver of motivation and consistency. I've been increasingly deliberate about going down rabbit holes of art topics I'm interested in over the past year, and it's led to some pieces that I'm most proud of, and in my opinion, one of my strongest years of improvement to date. Speaking of which, I have a new print and merch collection coming out very, very soon. You should sign up for my email newsletter or join our Discord server to know when that comes out. Over the next week, I want you to notice when things spark your curiosity as an artist. If you see an interesting tree or a cool cloud or a fun sign on your way to work that you really like, that sparks some inspiration for you, take a picture of it, or even better, take a picture and then immediately draw it from life if possible, whether it be on a napkin or in a sketchbook. And follow that curiosity. Start Googling vintage sign lettering, find some amazing new artists to check out, drool over some cool fonts, learn about what paints they use and the techniques behind it, and start planning out some kind of interesting creative project that you are excited about. I feel like whenever I just take a picture of something cool that inspires me or I find it online and then don't take immediate action, I never take any action. I just assume that I will rediscover this interest at some point in the future and my future self will take action. But I'm just lying to myself. I never follow through. I never take the action. And if I do, it's like years in the future when I finally find it again. I used to never follow these pure, wholesome bursts of interest, and that I'd sit at my desk and twirl my pencil and complain about how I had nothing to draw, but all of the stuff was there. I just wasn't positioning it in such a way that I was actively thinking about and aware of it. Or even worse yet, I would sometimes have a really horrible habit of staying curious and interested and aware of the thing, but I would set it aside because I didn't feel like I was quote unquote good enough yet to tackle that topic with the skill that I felt it deserved. But guess what? You might never feel good enough, and you're certainly never going to be good enough if you put every creative project that you're passionate about in a box marked quote unquote later, because later will never arrive and you'll just have given up in the intervening period. Just do the thing that you're excited about right now. I am honestly a little bit tempted to put this tree series aside until I am a better artist, especially when it comes to working on these fancy arched panels that I spent so much money on, but I'm trying to work past that feeling and just do it anyway. I want to follow this passion wherever it takes me, and I'm using it to improve on a whole host of fundamental art skills. Like right now, I'm thinking I'll either paint this same tree or different trees at different times of day. So each painting is a tree at a different time of day with different colors, different lighting, etc., giving me an opportunity to practice a bunch of skills. And what you've been seeing me do in this video is do a bunch of quick studies to learn a bit more about foliage rendering and mass simplification, because getting leaves right is surprisingly tricky, and it's the one thing that I am really struggling with when it comes to the composition of these final pieces, but it's fun. I'm interested in it. I feel a drive to keep going. So follow that curiosity and do the thing that you're excited about now. Don't wait. Or hang on, actually wait just a second. Maybe get the materials out now, because I do, in fact, need to tell you about the sponsor of this video, Squarespace. Squarespace. Love of my life, light of my heart, sponsor of half of all of the videos that I've made this year. You truly are an amazing ally for any creative. Squarespace is an award-winning website platform that allows you to design a beautiful website for selling your art, displaying a portfolio, hosting courses, and even writing a blog. Using their Fluid Engine feature, you can drag and drop images and text and videos and a whole bunch of stuff to your heart's content. I was able to design a website that I'm really proud of in just a few hours, and it's not only pretty to look at, but easy to change when I want to promote a new print collection or my email list or whatever new thing I'm working on. Squarespace makes it really easy to display your work, sell digital or physical products, and really be a hub for everything that you do online. Their plans are affordable, and their customer service is award-winning. You can get 10% off your first order of a website or domain by going to squarespace.com/Kelsey Rodriguez and using code Kelsey Rodriguez at checkout. You could also just click the link in the description. And speaking of clicking things, that is the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments what you think, and there's another one on the screen right now if you felt like watching more. Have a great day, you guys. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.